What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 119 of The Road to Glory here with FC United of Manchester. Hopefully you guys are good. If you missed the last episode, it was the Champions League final. Go check that out as always. Seriously, kind of insane episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And today, we're kicking off the new season. We're kicking it off. But there's plenty to cover from the pre-season this year. You know, a lot's happened. And first things first, and I want to kind of play some really happy music in the background for this, but I'm going to forget in the editing stage. But we finally have a new stadium being built. The FC United of Manchester Stadium is set for completion in a little under 2 years now. I've been begging them for a new stadium for about the last, 10, 12 years probably since we moved into the Football League. We now have a new stadium that we're moving into that we've managed to get a loan for of I think 40 million, and then there's a stadium sponsorship deal associated with it. So a 25,000 seat stadium will be great. You can see here the bank loan of 48 million goes towards the stadium, and then we also have the 15-year stadium sponsorship. So that's how that's all been covered. On the financial front, you notice that we're slightly in the red. Obviously, at the end of last year, we made a lot of money. Well, we did make a lot of money. We won the Champions League, of course. We won the Premier League, and then obviously TV revenue comes in for the year, and we ended up making. Last month, £271 million, and you can see here TV revenue made up for 95 million of that. Then obviously prize money 66 million. You can see we sold players on for 74 million, and you can quickly understand how we made so much money. Anyway, going into this year, we're looking solid, and we've got plenty of money now. I mean, we're in a loss. As you may have seen, we're in the red, but I'll come on to that in a second with the transfers, and you'll understand what's happening there. But at the moment, we're looking fairly solid. I actually had a transfer budget of 81 million because of some of the players I've sold. So yeah, why not now move on to the transfers, I suppose. So there's some interesting ones to cover here. Just kicking things off with the outs, I suppose. We have Marian Michel, the French centre-back. This guy has gone for a 13.5 million to Newcastle. He's an okay centre-back, but honestly, he's not a £13 million centre-back. He's 20 years old. He has some potential, but there was a player in my ranks called Alana who is better than him. Alana here in red is only 17, so he's 3 years younger than him, and he's by far a better player. So to get this guy off the books, to get him to Newcastle for that much money, I was pretty happy with. The next transfer out was Alfredo Jr. to Arsenal. This is going to be a head scratcher for many. This guy kind of got forced to fourth choice centre back last season with Matty, Horn and Gauffier kind of all leading the way at the back three. And as a result, I decided to cash in on him. He was valued at 25 or 26 million. I offered him out for 35 million. Arsenal have taken him up. They've offered him stupid wages. I have got a replacement in for him for a fraction of the price. I'm pretty happy with that. A few players went out on frees. These were just regens. They didn't quite make it into the first team. More players to be sold. We sold Mark Cohen to Benfica for 13.5 million, I think, or 13 million. This guy, he has a lot of potential, okay? And I thought this guy was a really good player when I first brought him in, and I paid quite big for him at the age of 16 or 17. I paid 9 million. I've sold him on for a profit, which is great, but whenever my scouts and my coaches looked at him, they said he was near or close to playing at his full potential, and you can see here my scouts are saying the exact same as my coaching staff were. And so, looking at his stats as he stands now, he's never going to be good enough for the first team. So what I decided to do was I'd sell him. This was just made off the basis that I believe he's probably near his highest current ability. And so, whilst he's still young, whilst maybe some people consider him a possibility to develop, it was better to cash in on him. So I sold him on. He's now valued at 16.5 million, which I don't agree with at all. But I think to get 13 million for him was a great little bit of business. The next little transfer, and the one that's going to scratch probably the most heads, is Alfredo Senior going to Barcelona for £23.5 million. This guy, 31 years old, he was quality for us last year. He holds the record number of assists. In his 3 years at the club, he seriously did a lot for us. But I decided to sell him on while he's hot. He's 31 now. He's hit his prime. He's going to be on the decline now for the next few years. I managed to get 23.5 million for him, which I think is a pretty decent sum for a 31-year-old striker. You know, no matter what a player's ability is, when they're 31, if you can get more than kind of 20 million for them, I think you're doing pretty good. And I know Alfredo Senior has been a crucial part of my team. I have a replacement lined up, and we'll come on to them shortly, who actually comes from Barcelona. But anyway, a few more little transfers to tell you about. Alejandro Monti has gone out on loan to Benfica. He's a quality little player. Hopefully he can improve there whilst out on loan. We also have Elana, the young French 17-year-old centre-back who I mentioned. He's gone to Cardiff. He's going to be playing regular first-team football there. So that's a good little transfer, I believe. On the outs as well, Raniero Servi went out for £3.2 million to Newcastle, a player who he brought in on a free from Roma. He's an okay player. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not bad. But, I mean, if I just compare him to, say, my fourth choice striker at the moment, which is Hubner, who there's also players who fit between these, but these two players are similar. You can see Hubner outclasses him in every single way, literally. Maybe slightly physical as an edge towards Servi, but Hubner's just better, and ultimately Servi wasn't good enough. I cashed in on him while I could. Not the greatest amount of money, but I think it's still a fairly decent deal. The next one brought a slight tear to my eye, guys. Glenn Stewart, 29 years old, has decided to go on to Wolves. He's decided to leave FC United. This guy has been at the club for the last 12 years, since kind of 2024, so we're going back 3 years, 4 years here. He's just not been a first team player. He's just not been good enough, and although his performance average ratings have been great and he's now the FC United record league goal scorer, he's just not the player he used to be. So he's gone out, a bit of a shame. Just a few more players on loan who are worth mentioning. We have Leonardo Virilio here. This guy could still develop. He's gone to Fiorentina. He's going to be their first choice centre back, which is a decent little I think deal out for us. And Emiliano Sporto here. This guy seriously has some natural ability. He's going to Fulham, hoping he can really kind of develop as a player that come in this year. But this guy has some ability, and I could see him being a late bloomer in terms of the fact that he still has quite a lot of ability left to fulfill. And he's kind of 20, so he's past that stage where you'd expect rapid growth. But he still has a few years left to really kind of make or break his career of sorts. So he's gone out there. They're all the main ones on the outs, just a few more that I'll just mention. Moore Niels has gone on loan to Hartlepool, and Gordon Doyle, the Scottish centre mid, has gone on loan to West Ham for a year. Anyway, on to the ends of the exciting stuff. We start off with Felix Zuccolini. This guy, I've shown him a few times, 5-star potential ability, currently injured, got injured within his first game, but this guy, real natural ability, 18 years old, hot talent. Looking forward to seeing how he can develop. We also have a few players coming in from when I poached them on Regen Day. We have Brett Teague here, right back for Manchester United, young English lad. Scouts highly recommend him, 4-star potential ability. Hopefully he can kind of fulfill that. We also have Wallace Roger here, another centre back and right back. This guy's 16 years old, only just turned 16 as well. Decent raw talent. Hopefully he can develop also in the reserves. And the final one is this guy, Simon Ruscoli. This guy's a bit of a punt. He's probably the worst of kind of the regens that I've brought in. His stats aren't particularly impressive, but he is 16. He is playing for the under-21s. I mean, you can see his stats here. He's got fairly solid mentals as a basis to kind of improve, and he's got some half-decent technicals in the areas you'd expect a centre mid to have them in. He's got plenty of time left to kind of hone his game, but the reason I like this guy is because he's got potential, and it'll be interesting to see how well he can fulfill that with his fairly half-decent stats. So anyway, those are those deals, and now we get on to the interesting ones. The 3 deals which kind of make me tingle in my pants in a totally non-weird way. Oh god, why did I say that? Someone's now going to edit that into some weird video like when I said my bumhole was numb that time. Now someone who's not subscribed to my channel or has just started watching this video for the first time or hasn't been around for a while is just like, your bumhole was numb. Yes, it was. Okay, so I've brought in Victor Hugo Salas. This guy's come in for £15.5 million. Mexican player. His stats are identified in black. It's important to remember Alfredo Senior went out for £34 million. And so I believe that to get Rosales for more than half the price, considering the kind of difference in abilities. I think I've done very well there. I think that's a great bit of business. Rosales is younger. The two players are very similar across the board, if we're honest. Rosales, though, I look forward to seeing how this guy can develop. He's got more potential ability than Alfredo Senior had. He's come from Bayern Munich, 5 caps for Mexico at the age of 21, a rock at the back potentially. Looking forward to seeing him. We then have Jun Wanatabe. What a name. This guy, Japanese international, 21 years old, signed from Chelsea. Last year he went to Chelsea. He played about half their league games, slightly less. But he featured quite largely in their plans. But I tried to unsettle him across the summer, and I eventually kind of made a breakthrough. I'd been actually looking at him when he was at Okayama, and so I'd got a fairly good working relationship with him through the press. And so I was able to try and force a move here, and he actually requested to leave Chelsea. But this guy, I look forward to seeing how he can develop. He's 21. He's got fairly good two-footedness. To me, he looks like a young Andre Pirlo, the kind of player who can dictate the tempo from the back. He's a really well-rounded off centre mid. Absolutely insane mentals for a 21-year-old who's only just turned 21. And I'm really excited to see what this guy can bring to the table, because he's just a very exciting talent. He's going to be an ideal kind of deep player for us, winning the ball, spreading it out, great creativity. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do here. Now, the next signing, and this is where it gets a little bit weird, well, not weird, the transfers, but obviously we won the Champions League last year, and that really helped propel our, our reputation, and it basically offered me up the opportunity to start trying to sign players from some of the big boys. Like, if I just show you here, unrealistic transfers, when you look at some of the clubs that I can sign players from now, there's some really big clubs here, and particularly, like, I had the option to, like, re-sign players from everywhere, but you can see, like, Chelsea, Lisbon, Villarreal, and I got very lucky because I brought in I sold João Jose, and, João Jose, we'll come on to that in a second, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I sold Alfredo Senior to Barcelona for £23.5 million, and then Alfred Serra, who's a Barcelona player who I'd been looking at before, got a bit unhappy because he wasn't unhappy with the balance of the squad, presumably. He only actually played 25 games last year, so he wasn't as frequently a starter as you might expect. But basically, he requested a transfer, so Barcelona offered him out for 35 million. This was after I'd sold Alfredo Senior to them for 23 million. I managed to get Alfred Serra in for 35 million. I think he's a great little signing. He's reacted bad to my press conference. This is why I don't do press conferences. I just piss everyone off. But no, broke the bank to get him in. He was one of these players who, and this is a good tip for anyone, don't listen to when your assistant filters out unrealistic results, because usually he's wrong. Usually there's players who you can get who are better than the ones he filters out. But this guy, I did break the bank on the wage budget to bring him in, £35 million. If I just compare him to Alfredo Senior, you can see he eclipses Alfredo Senior in nearly every way as a centre kind of striker role. And so I'm looking forward to having Serra at the club. He's come in, and so looking at the overall finances, we actually made money this window by £4 million. That said, our finances are still 23 million in the red, but that is going to be offset because currently we are selling João Jose to Barcelona. I've made kind of a decision to sell this guy. The reason being is, if I just show you really quickly, he's not as good as Alfredo Senior. For one, he's not as good as Seri, who's just come in. If I just compare them here, I'll let you be the judge of this because it's closer than you'd think. But Serra here is probably the better player than João Jose. Granted, he is slightly older, but João Jose potentially going out for 40 million. And then the other thing to bear in mind is the fact that João Jose now is probably going to be he would be third or fourth choice striker, but Payrod might slot into centre mid. But the thing to remember is that with players like Bastian Hubner, who's a great talent, with the likes of Lee Wright coming in, who again, another quality player, and then also with players like Zuccolini, who are really young coming through, I think there's an opportunity to sell João Jose here. And I think 40 million would be a great little bit of business in terms of just making of money, because he's a player who came to the club oh gosh, how many years are we going back here? 7 years ago, from Sao Paulo for £1.8 million, and now we're about to sell him on for 40 million, which I mean is just a crazy kind of. Well, what can I say? It's a crazy deal to be had, and I can't really turn down that kind of money. But anyway, that's our transfer dealings. I think we've come out stronger for it. Serra is actually injured for today's game, which gives Bastien Hubner a chance to start. But all in all, I'm really happy with the transfer dealings. I think Jean Wanatabe and João José are going to be quality signings. And there's actually one more player I've just forgotten about, and that is where is he? Where are you? Carlinhos here. Who's coming in on a free, on a Bosman. This guy, great little player, beat Real Madrid to his signing, beat Barcelona to his signing. I think he's going to be a quality little kind of player for us. Useful, he's 29, so he's kind of in his prime for at least the next few years. He signs on a short-term deal, but I'm hoping he can contribute when he comes. I am also looking at a few other players potentially to sign in. Just kind of young regen players. I'm not going to cover them too much. One player I did look at was Borgia from Manchester United. He's really unhappy at the club and he's pretty unsettled, mostly thanks to me kind of winding him up in the press and winding up his manager in the press. Because Manchester United this year missed out on continental qualification, a lot of their players want to leave. Like Kurt Zouma is transfer listed by request. I think Fierro is too. So there may be one or two transfers yet to be done in this window. But today we have got our game against Chelsea, and this is where we have to cover the fixtures, Jack, quickly. So pre-season friendlies, pretty irrelevant, but we lost Chelsea 2-0 in the Community Shield. I opted not to cover this just because otherwise we'd be covering far too many videos. Unfortunately, Payrod was sent off for double yellows in this game, one of which came from diving, which is pretty uncharacteristic. In the end, I feel like we were pretty unlucky, but Chelsea were more clinical on the day. And then in the league, we got our first win of the season without Payrod, who was sent off, and we were down to 10 men as well for a large majority of the game. Bastien Hubner getting 2. It's going to be important that he's on goal-scoring form this season, especially with now João José going out. But I'm more than confident he can kind of keep up a scoring record on par with what he did last year, where he got 17 in 24 in the league and 29 in 27 in all competitions. So anyway, we do go into today's game missing a fair few players, if I'm honest. There's quite a few players here who I wish I had, but I don't have, and so I've got to make the most of the situation we have. One player who I'm really looking forward to develop, and I'll probably cover kind of my reserve team in the next episode, is where is he? Where have you gone? Not Enrique, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. Daniel Ramirez. I knew it was a South American sounding name. This guy is a very, very hot talent. If I show you Daniel Ramirez, 19 years old, that 19 potential stands out for me. Amazing technicals, solid mentals and solid physicals as well, but his technicals are really what do it for him. 19 years old, loads of time to develop. Quality player all round, great in the air as well, which is great for a young player, and he could be a good player for us this year. He could be a breakthrough player. But anyway, we look at today's squad, missing a lot of players through injury and stuff. Serra is out for a day with a cold, for the new signing from Barcelona. Gorfi is out for 2 to 5 days. Barg is out for 7 to 11 days, and Zuccolini is out for 11 days to 2 weeks. So we're missing a few players on short-term deals, but short-term injuries. But hopefully we can kind of get over that. We go into today's game against Chelsea in the league, knowing that this could be a big game in terms of the title at this very early stage, and that a win would be amazing. So hopefully we can get that. It's going to be tough, but I think we've got the players here to do it. So we'll see how we get on. Rosales is going to be making his debut as well, which is exciting for the Mexican. He's a player who came in obviously for 15 million from Bayern Munich. Bit of a gamble, but he comes in to replace Alfredo Senior as kind of a top fourth choice centre back, and I think he certainly fits the bill of that role and kind of the player I needed fairly well. I asked a few guys on Twitter what they thought of him. They kind of felt I'd overpaid. I kind of feel because of Alfredo Senior going out for more than double it, it's a pretty decent deal all in all, but we're going to have to defend here. Hubner, don't give away a penalty, you muppet. That is why you should not have your strikers come back for set pieces, everyone. Why, Jack? Why do you have him back then if you shouldn't do it? I don't know. Whoa, that was quite a powerful penalty. He's loving it. He's loving it. I'm not loving it. I'm a bit mad. 30 minutes in, silly penalty to give away. We are away today, which is always a tricky tie away against Chelsea, but at the moment it just doesn't look like we've been good enough. All in all. 1 minute of added time now to be played. Chelsea have certainly strengthened their squad over the summer, and that's been a tricky one for us. They've brought in some new players. It's going to be interesting this season. Obviously, last year we did the quintuplet, if you can call that with the Champions League, Community Shield, Super Cup, Premier League and FA Cup. This year, my aim's to win the league and to get to the semi-final of the Champions League. That's kind of my personal goal. And we've got the World Club Championship, of course, but kind of when we're trying to win the Premier League, we're going to have to win games like this, and they went 2 up from the free kick, which I totally alluded to because it just depressed me slightly inside. I'm going to go a bit more different. I was about to say that is not proper English, Jack. I'm going to go a little bit more flexible, I think, with this. We've been disappointing so far. Trying to mix up the side a little bit. Going to be bringing on Lee Wright off the bench. Hopefully he can have an impact. Certain players not turning up at the moment. It'll be disappointing if we lose this, or if we at least don't get a goal, because Chelsea are a good side, but we proved last year that we were a better side than them, and although they've strengthened a lot this year, I'd still be hopeful that we can do something against them. But time is trickling away. That is going to be game Chelsea. Disappointing all in all. Disappointing performance, and that will be full time. So I feel like we're a little bit unlucky to lose 2-0, but again, lack of clinicalness. I'm far from pleased. I'm hoping the addition to Serra, the new signing from Barcelona coming in, could be a big one for us. It could be the guy who gets goals for us up top, and I'm hoping that when he's fit, he can certainly contribute. But anyway, I think that's everything for today. I don't think there's anything else left to cover. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Let me know what you make of my new signings. I think I've done pretty well all in all. Sold a lot of players on, but I feel like I've brought in a real quality signing in Alfred Serra. Quality outfit, I think, as well. Wanatabe as well is going to be a great player for us this year. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. It is me, Jack, guys. Thank you for watching. And other than that, I will talk to you in a bit. And I'm out.